Mascot horror isn't exactly a genre that's known for originality. Basically, every game after FNAF and Bendy has either been copying one of the two, or just copies both. Games like Rainbow Friends, Muzy, and especially Garten of Banban were all just created to cash in on the success of games like Bendy and the Ink Machine and Poppy Playtime. But what if I told you that there's a mascot horror game that manages to avoid most tropes of the genre, displays some actual good horror and violence, and has more charm than games like Garten of Banban ever could have? Well, all of that and more comes from a game that just released yesterday as I'm writing this, Indigo Park. Indigo Park was developed by UniqueGeese, a YouTuber who is most famous for his remake of the first Garten of Banban game, Reincarnated. After Reincarnated did well, he decided to try making an original game, and here we are today. So today I'm going to review Indigo Park and explain what makes this game so great. The game, so that everyone knows what's going on. We start off the game with a cutscene showing us the park in its glory days, followed by a montage of footage that shows our protagonist's bedroom as well as them driving to the park. We arrive, turn on the power of the main gate, and receive a critter cough, which allows us to open doors around the park. And while doing all of this, we're accompanied by Rambly the raccoon, an AI program based off the park's mascot. Rambly is our companion throughout this game and can be seen on any of the many TVs around the park. We walk over to a hallway, which is then immediately blocked off by rubble once we're inside. We then go on a little train ride that shows us all the park's mascots, and some more funny Rambly dialogue. We exit the ride and head over to Jetstream Junction, which requires some keys to unlock. We go to the park's theater, nearly die to a massive lion, and unlock Jetstream Junction. We try to access Molly's rooftop races, but the ride has been completely destroyed. Rambly redirects us to Molly's landing pad, where we crawl through a series of tunnels and a play place to solve a puzzle. We're then attacked by Molly herself, which then ensues in one of the most fun chases in mascot horror, but we'll talk about that later. Molly dies brutally by being decapitated by a door, and Rambly starts talking about how he can tell that we're scared and confused. But he tells us that he wants us to help him restore the park to its former glory, where the chapter ends. Before I discuss everything I like about this game, I want to get all of my negatives out of the way, since most of my thoughts on this game are positive. With that being said, my first negative for the game is that the textures can be a bit off in certain areas. I ran into multiple areas of the map where the textures are just extremely blurry for no apparent reason. Another minor complaint is that sometimes the subtitles will extend beyond the screen, leaving you with only part of the subtitles actually on your screen. I'm not sure if this is a problem with playing the game full screen, which is how I played it, but it's still pretty strange. My last major complaint is that even though the game does break some of the mascot horror mold, it still kind of just leaves some of it there. The majority of this game is just a walking simulator. You walk into the park, walk around the back areas to open the gate, walk to the train ride, walk to Jetstream Junction, walk to and inside of the theater, and walk around Molly's landing pad before running to the end of the game. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying having a game that's mostly a walking simulator is automatically a bad thing, but when the same term can be applied to most other games in the genre, I don't know, it just kind of gives your game a bad look. But that wraps up most of my complaints with this game. This is only chapter 1 of a larger game, so it's inevitable that there will be some issues, but overall I'd say the good of this game definitely outweighs the bad, and that's what I want to talk about next. My first positive I want to share is that the visuals of this game are really good. I know I mentioned the blurriness on some textures earlier, but that only really applies to a couple textures in the first area of the game. Besides those textures, the game and its title screen are very good visually. This game captures the Disneyland aesthetic perfectly, which makes sense because UniqueGeese knows a lot about theme parks, so it makes sense that this game would be able to capture that vibe well. Next, I want to talk about designs, and my gosh, Rambly's design is perfect. I think UniqueGeese and his team managed to make a very cute and recognizable mascot design with Rambly. I also like the other mascot designs since they all reflect their personalities and what they do, but I just found Rambly's design to be particularly good. Another cool thing is the collectibles. Yeah, this game has collectibles, which I did not expect at all, but looking back, Poppy Playtime and Bendy have done this already. This game actually does have something cool about its collectibles, which is that there are little kiosks around the map which can tell you more about them. They give you little messages that give our protagonist some more personality, which is pretty cool. This game also has really clever collectible spots, such as one that you can only collect during the final chase, which is really clever in my opinion. The last major thing I want to talk about for this section is horror. This game tackles horror the same way FNAF's Security Breach Ruin tackles horror, where most of it comes from the environment around you instead of actual jump scares. And I think the game does this really well, such as in the theater where Lloyd jumps at you multiple times and you can hear him walking around making all these weird noises, and it's just very well executed. Now, in terms of the final chase scene, this chase scene isn't exactly scary in my opinion, but it is really fun. There are little jump pads throughout the chase that you can use to escape Molly, which are very satisfying to use, and the play structures are generally just fun to traverse. Overall, Indigo Park is just another step in the right direction for mascot horror, in my opinion. Between this game, Poppy Playtime Chapter 3, and Garten of Banban 7, mascot horror is making massive improvements and it's great to see. UniqueGeese has stated that the success of this game will affect whether or not a Chapter 2 is made or not, so please support this game because I would love to see that happen. Alright, like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.